Hello, this is Giuseppe Conti. I'm the founder of Conti Advanced Business Learning, a company that specializes in negotiation and influencing. Do you find it difficult to ask your boss for a raise? If that's the case, that's common to many professionals. That's why we decided to make this 3-video series on how to get a raise. This first video will focus on knowing your worth, because one of the key elements of your preparation is understanding your market value. You have to do your research both externally and internally. When you want to understand your market value, you may immediately think about websites like Glassdoor or pay scales that may give you information about how much you may be making working at other companies. And of course, that's a good starting point, but that should be only one of the elements of your data research. You're probably going to talk also to headhunters and have their perspective about your market value. You'll probably be looking also for survey made by professional association in your own function so that you understand the typical compensation for people in your function. And then there is another resource that is often neglected, though is very powerful, which is getting salary information from your network. The good news is that we know a lot of people. The challenge is that most of the people do not like to talk about their salary. So how do we get salary information from people without making them feel uncomfortable? The key advice is do not ask about their salary, but ask advice about your own salary. So the way you ask the question to your network should sound a bit like this. Now, I'm considering looking for a job outside. Based on your experience, considering that I have X number of years of experience, I did these studies, I worked at those companies, what will be the right compensation range for me? And then as you talk to different people and you complement it with your research on the web and on magazine, then you may end up having a good idea about your right compensation range externally. The other element is to understand how well you're paid inside your own company. Now, for certain companies, this is easy because there are salary bands which are available, and then you have an idea about how you are positioned inside the salary band. But for many other companies, the salary information is not public knowledge, so you don't really know how well you're paid inside the company. Now, you may be tempted to say, well, I'm going to do a quick benchmark with my good friends, we are doing the same job, and then I will have an idea whether I'm paid well or less well. Well, that's not a good idea, because when you start benchmarking with your close colleague and then you discover that one of the two is making 15% more or less, guess what? The relationship between the two colleagues is not going to be the same again, it's going to create tension at work. So, if you really want to do some benchmark, do it with somebody that has the same job title, but with whom you don't work very closely with, so that even if you discover difference, it doesn't impact the relationship. It is more effective to do such a benchmarking with people that have already left the company, or maybe to get this information from a senior sponsor inside the company that can give you insight on how well you're compensated compared to a broad range of people. To summarize, the key to knowing your market is to do an extensive research both externally and internally. For more insights, check our website www.cabl.ch and look out for our next video on this fascinating topic on how to ask your boss for a raise. Thank you.